What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content. In today's video, we're taking a look at a team that I played to get my ELO back here in the Great League Remix, as I dropped about 120 points, gained it all back with this team in the veteran rank, getting up to expert here. And Deoxys is such an obscenely strong core breaker in this Great League Remix meta. You'd think that people would be more respecting of it, but there's so many trainers running something like, Steel and Poliwrath, and Deoxys does very well into both of those due to its coverage and typing. So we're going to get into these battles here. We went on an 8-2 run in this video, and an overall, I think I went like 18-7 or something like that to get about 120 plus ELO on the day when I played this team. Got this team from a Discord member, so if you'd like access to the community teams and my teams, early access to meta and all that, meta analysis and all that stuff, that's in the Discord that you can get to by subscribing to the Patreon or the YouTube memberships. Links in the description of the pinned comment for that. Also, just a goated community that's focused on helping everybody get better together. And I think that's amazing. So I look to swap and catch a rock slide of the opponents here on my Steelix. And so at this point, I'm wondering, maybe we're playing mirror teams, because as I was shilling myself, of course, the opponent had a Deoxys on the lead. So we went and traded some blows, and that's typically how I like to play out those Deoxys mirror leads, is just, get a charge move off, swap out with some energy if you can, because typically they're going to be weak to fighting in the back, as Deoxys is very often that anti-fighter in the lead to be able to hit the fighting types that deal with the things that are typically behind. It's just like usually you have like Deoxys and then Steels or Ice or Normal or Dark or something, something Dork or Dork. You're gonna have things that are in the back that end up gonna be weak to the fighting type. So you typically want to preserve the Deoxys. And the opponent showed me they have Earthquake, and so I know that either this is Earthquake or Psychic Fangs, and I'm like, man, if you got Earthquake, go ahead and throw it. So we're gonna go ahead and go for the Rock Slide, and the opponent comes back in with their Umbreon here. The nice thing here is that the energy from Deoxys is much easier to deal with the Umbreon, even though it's at full HP. And my opponent saved both shields for a Greninja. So both of us are very, very close in our team comps here, except they chose for the more offensively powerful Greninja, and I went for the bulky Umbreon. So we're going to see how this matchup unfolds, but essentially what I'm going to look to do here is shield the first move at least, because I figured they're probably going to go for a Hydro Cannon off the bat. Normally, if you're going to go for the Night Slash, you wait till you at least land one Hydro Cannon, make it kind of tempting to shield. Now, something to keep in mind here also is that it's straight 3 Water Shurikens to every single Hydro Cannon here. And I'm going for Foul Plays because after you land the first Last Resort, you actually have the chance to be able to knock out with, obviously with the second one, but you threaten the knockout here. And so my opponent no shields. They throw in their Deoxys here, and I'm going to shield up. I remember that they had a little bit over the energy needed for the Rock Slide, and I am almost at another Rock Slide here. So all I need to do is land a counter on the opponent's Deoxys here and try not to let myself get way too low. So here they have 2 shields. I need to get it to double Psycho Boost or counter down. Thankfully, I'm able to counter down, and I'm also able to get a counter in because we're able to get the counter in because our counter's 2 turns. Their move was 3 Water Shurikens 3, so the damage registers on the counter first. We get a really nice lead here. If Poliwrath is on the opponent's team, this is where I need to see it. So I'm going to throw on 8 because I want to make them think that I have the... God, I can't... I just came back from vacation. Literally got back like an hour ago, and I had to make a video for today. So, but we're back. Anyway, we got to go up to 8 to make bluff the Thunderbolt. There it is. We got there. So the opponent now looks to try and catch that Psycho Boost or another Thunderbolt. I'm going to come in with a Drapion. Might not have been the best idea, giving them such a large energy lead like that. But we kind of have to roll with it here. And the Crunch is going to do enough, but I know I can live 2 Crunches no matter what. And I'm going to go for the harder hitting Crunch, because even though Psychic Fangs is also only single resisted, it does hardly any damage, and I would much rather at least go for the guaranteed damage, or if they really, really want to shield, they can. We're going to go for the Crunch here. I could have gone for double Psychic Fangs, maybe. I was still 1 short of the second Fang, so I'm going to let this go. The opponent has no energy. I'm going to get some farm with Deoxys. And then we're going to see what the opponent has in the back, because this was a mistake by me, realistically. I should have just simply tried to win switch there, but my opponent has an Aurorus in the back, and that actually works out for us greatly here, because now Deoxys is able to just completely overpower. And this is what I'm talking about. There are people that are running, Poliwrath plus things that are weak to fighting, and that's fine and dandy in most cases. However, something like Deoxys absolutely just kind of runs through a team like that. So we're running Foul Play as well on the Umbreon. The reason why is because I much prefer the pacing of Foul Play. The way that I see Foul Play versus Dark Pulse, it's a little bit harder for a little bit more energy. Makes sense. I prefer that difference in the Ultra League, where the Dark Pulse is going to hit a little bit harder and kind of offset the bulky Pokemon, whereas in the Great League, it doesn't matter as much to me. Getting into the next game, Deoxys on the lead versus Superior. Now the red lights have already gone off in my head, because typically I don't see something like Superior unless somebody's pairing it with something like Carbink. So the one downside, and this is probably one of the most dangerous leads you can face with this team, is dealing with Superior leads, because I can guarantee you there's going to be a rock type of some sort in the back. Normally it's going to be Carbink. And unless I can align my Steelix to it, that's about the only hope that I'm going to have. And I can't really outpace the Superior here. So my opponent is going to be able to go for this Frenzy Plant. I think I miscounted. I would have much rather gone for another, like, maybe double Psycho Boost with this, but instead now I'm forced to run into my Steelix here. The opponent can go for their own Frenzy Plant here before I even get to a move, and I just have to hope that maybe they just swap the Carbink in here, maybe. But no, they come in with their own Steelix, and at this point, I'm like, man, if this isn't the Carbink, either I'm hoping they don't have a Carbink in the back and I have a chance, or I'm afraid they have a Carbink, and if they do, then that just means I kind of lose. But we're gonna see what they got in the back here, and at least for right now, I'm kind of playing with the expectation of, let's just see if we can sweep this game up with Umbreon, see what the opponent's gonna have in the back, and just kind of go from there. So at the very least, we know that we left the Superior about in range of a Foul Play. We're going to be able to go for the farm down here on the opponent's Steelix. The opponent running, I believe, it's either Psychic Fangs or Breaking Swipe at this point. So they hit me with the Psychic Fangs, and I am very, very low here. And there's the Carbink. So I kind of, at this point, as soon as I threw that Psycho Boost, I was kind of resigning the match. Now, if I was running Psychic, maybe there's a chance and there's a case to be made for Psychic, but I'm not using it right now. Getting into the next game, we got a Surfetched on the lead. This is a great lead for Deoxys, except for the fact that the opponent's probably running Night Slash, and if they are, then that could be a problem. Now, the opponent goes for one extra here, looking to make sure that they don't get their move caught, and of course, they get the boost. Now, I have to shield the next one. I was going to no shield no matter what, because the thing is with these boosting moves is, if you can avoid it, I know it's super effective damage and it sucks to take it, but if you can take two of them, always no shield that first one, so that you can go ahead and you can save your shields for the boosted ones later. Now, we go straight for the Psycho Boost. The opponent is not willing to give up a shield, and they have a Jellicent. Now, this is not great for me because of the fact that Jellicent has that Surf, but I'm kind of hoping that because my opponent doesn't know what's in the back, maybe there's a chance they swap out here, and they do. They try to catch the Crunch, and that being a Ferrothorn basically means that now I can align my Umbreon to that Jellicent, and we are looking to be in a very winning position here in this game. I'm going to be able to go for a second Crunch. They get to the move, and they go for the Charge Attack Priority Tie, which is totally fine with me. Power Whip does not quite knock out. I will be able to land another Crunch, and this chip damage is important because it allows Deoxys to be able to do potential farm downs instead of having to, I guess in this case, it's not really going to do it. But it's allowing me to go for a potential farm down or force the opponent to throw their energy, right? Like, the opponent's not getting to another move. We're going to get the farm down here. I'm going to leave with a move loaded and come in with my Umbreon, and the opponent does decide to concede because they know it's a losing matchup. So it's a good game here. Well played. We are getting into the next battle here against a Gligar. This is a very tough lead. What I'd like to do here is I go straight to Steelix because we are resisting the flying type damage from Wing Attack, and the opponent, like on cue, just immediately sees the Steelix and swaps. And I think that the reason why that happened is, as you saw in the beginning, they were able to, I was forced to stay in for a fast move. I don't know why. I tapped the swap. It doesn't want to work sometimes, and you just stay in and go for a fast move. So because the opponent was in the middle of the fast move, they were able to swap right away, so it was a lot easier for them to get that swap. But however, this does give my Deoxys a really nice farm down here, which I don't need to shield. It's one move. We're looking to draw out the Poliwrath with the Steelix, right? And even if you have to save swap Umbreon, sometimes you can. And you're really just drawing out their Poliwrath, hoping to get rid of it for the Umbreon here. Now, unfortunately, because my attack has been dropped, I believe, I'm going to be forced to go for two moves here in order to do any meaningful damage. But the Psycho Boost here, the nice thing about this is it leaves the opponent in range for the Foul Play to knock out. So I am going to shield the first move, even though it's not Even though it's not a Shadow Gligar, I don't want to take a dig. And of course, they have the, I don't know, they have the thought to just go for the Aerial Ace, and now I've taken a dig, and now I feel like an idiot, right? And that's the thing, right? Like, I don't know what happened, but like all of a sudden, it seems like everybody seems to bait in resisted matchups. Like, I bring out my Steelix, into the Gligar, and for some reason they throw Aerial Ace instead of just going straight dig, which, I mean, you know, for them, great, makes sense, but for me, it's like, why would you do this? I don't understand why you would ever want to go for a resisted move in a matchup like this, but it works for him because I shield it. So I don't know, man, it just feels like every time I shield, it's the bait, and every time I don't shield, it's the nuke. But the opponent has a Hypno in the back in this game, and they decide they don't want to play it any further, so that's a good game, well played. Respect the Spice, though. I love Hypno. I used to love Hypno. Another move, another great lead here with Empoleon. Deoxys absolutely hammering these leads out. The opponent safe swaps into a Shadow Gligar. Because of the one turn consumed when they swap, I'm able to get to the Psycho Boost before they're able to finish their 5th wing attack, so we are able to get a Psycho Boost off. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Right here. There's no way that this trainer actually goes for an Aerial Ace, right? No. But every single one before this, as I did play a few sets with this team before I recorded, every single one of them went for the freaking Aerial Ace. I'm like, just go for the dig. It makes no sense to me. I mean, I'm sure it makes sense at some point because you get the shield, but I don't get it. So we take out the Gligar, and the opponent decides not to shield or fight for switch here, which is fine with me. They're going to come back in with Empoleon, and the thing with stealing Empoleon here is that it's resisted farm down, which is huge for it. But the opponent is going to have to put up their own shields if they want to be able to get a full farm down here, and the opponent decides to go for it. They're going to have to give up a shield here in this matchup, and my Deoxys is more than healthy enough to be able to eat a Hydro Cannon, maybe even 2. So this is fine here with me. We just want to make sure that we keep a shield here for whatever's in the back, and it's a Poliwrath. So we have a Poliwrath in the back. So this is one of the most awkward things, is to have something in the lead that demands Deoxys' attention, but also to have a Poliwrath swap, and something like that, Alolan Ninetales is a big one on that particular front. Now the opponent's going to go for the Icy Wind because it would definitely knock out from this range, but thankfully they let us get to the Psycho Boost because we had enough energy head start here. Now, because of the fact that my Umbreon can typically handle an Empoleon, right, I usually end up saving Umbreon for like the Empoleon or the thing that was in the lead, that it is, you know, as long as it doesn't hard beat my Umbreon. So a good game to the opponent here. All right, we're getting to the next battle here. Deoxys against Magnezone. Another perfect example of something that Deoxys needs to be able to deal with, but Umbreon would do fine, and so would Steelix. And the reason why I swap an Umbreon here, I could have gone for a Psycho Boost, right? I absolutely could have. I don't want to give the opponent too much energy head start. They bring in a Frostlass. Umbreon can handle this just fine. And I don't need to retain my Umbreon for anything at this point, because even if they bring in the Magnezone, they're still going to have to farm up a lot of extra energy and potentially shield in the process, or take a whole foul play. So the opponent here decides to shield. I have not yet shielded because I know I can take another Avalanche and still farm down before the opponent can farm me down. But they're going to go for another move, so I'll give them one shield in order to leave with this farm down. And if it's the Magnezone, I can throw almost 2 moves into it if it comes in here. So we're going to go for the first foul play. The next one's going to come down to whether the damage registers before or after my next Snarl here. So we're going to go for another one, and we're not able to get it. The damage registered as we expected it to. We're going to come in with the Deoxys here, just in case the thing in the back is able to beat Steelix. I'm going to shield up a potential Wild Charge. The opponent does throw it, and they have a Cofagrigus in the back, so they did a very nice job of baiting out the Umbreon here. But the reason why I saved the Steelix is because it is effectively one of the hardest walls to Magnezone in the entire meta. So, because of that being the case, we want to make sure that if worst case we can align Steelix, but the thing is that because the opponent swapped immediately, I have to assume they have 2 better answers in the back to the Deoxys. So the reason why I ended up sending my Deoxys back into the Magnezone instead of the Steelix is simply because I don't know what's in the back, and if, you know, in the event that they have a Ghost type in the back. I read that catch, so I kept going, but I was almost going to throw the Psycho Boost when all later Switch Clock is up. But we don't want to end up getting caught in a position where where potentially Deoxys is thrown into a bad matchup like it could have been against the Cofagrigus. So the next matchup, we get a Golbat. Now, Golbat has Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball hits like a truck. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go for the Psycho Boost to get an immediate shield out of this Golbat, and then we're going to bring in Steelix in order to start putting pressure on the opponent. They swap immediately into Scrafty, something a Pokemon I haven't seen in eons. It's been a long time. Welcome back, Scrafty. Hope your Thunder Punch is doing you well. However, this opponent, Scrafty, has to go for Foul Play, or they can ramp up with Power-Up Punch. Either one is going to be fine with me, because what ends up happening here is, once again, this is a ploy to lure out the opponent's hardest answered Umbreon, and we're going to use Deoxys to try and farm it down. So, also, if you're seeing like a lot of Carbinks, and the opponent makes a massive mistake here, they wait to try to. All right, let me back this up here a minute, because I want to explain this. Right, so the opponent stopped attacking because they wanted to give my Deoxys less farm than, if I were to just, if they were to just counter me down. The mistake that they made here is that they waited too long to go for that final counter, and I was able to get to the Psychic Fangs instead. Now, if the opponent had played that correctly, they would have countered down, one switch advantage, and there's a very solid chance that whatever's in the back is also a Dark type, because, Globats love that stuff. But the opponent now sees that the alignment has been flipped, and they didn't like it, apparently, so they must have left. So, good game. All right, into the next game, we got Alolan Ninetales on the lead. Now, the thing here is that there are some that do not respect Rock Slide, and you can take them off guard. There's been a lot more Deoxys that I've seen from content creators that are running Rock Slide, so it may not be a secret for long, but against Charm Alolan Ninetales and against Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales, you can hit that with Rock Slide because obviously that's super effective into Rock, but you can also typically go for Psycho Boosts after you go for that first Rock Slide if you like, because they'll probably shield. Now, the thing is that I don't really have anything I can swap into here. I need to shield the Gleam correctly. If I don't shield the Gleam, I'm in a bad spot. The opponent full sends the Dazzling Gleam, and I give up my other shield. The opponent now goes immediately for another move, as they had overfarmed very nicely here. Very good counting on their part. Weather Ball is not going to be enough to knock me out here. And I'm going to overfarm by a bit, and I'm going to try to make sure the opponent isn't going to go for a charge move or a swap to catch the move here. So I'm going to go for the Psycho Boost here, and then I'm going to look to go up to another boost, and I have to throw it here, unfortunately, because it's a Swampert. And Swampert, I have really no way to play against. The correct move here was probably to let them farm down my Deoxys, but they have a Poliwrath in the back, so I feel like I was probably screwed regardless. But if I bring in my Steelix into the, or if I bring in my Umbreon here into the opponent's Swampert, then there's a chance that I may be able to land a Last Resort or Psychic Fangs with the Steelix. I might be able to whittle down the Poliwrath and maybe even take out the Swampert, but unfortunately, it's not going to be in this case. Now, I'm going to come in with my Deoxys, force the opponent to throw that energy so I can get the farm down on Steelix. I think my only hope here is going to be to try and land a crunch against the opponent's Swampert, but they had a lot of energy from before when we swapped, so they're going to go for an Earthquake here. There's no reason not to. They have no shields. Earthquake, going to almost knock out my poor Steelix, and I needed to get to 2 Psychic Fangs, I felt like, but I wasn't going to get there. Opponent is going to get to another Hydro Cannon to knock me out. Quite unfortunate, but that is going to be a good game. Well played. Also, kind of hard countered in the back, not going to lie. Getting into the final battle here, we got a Typhlosion Shiny Flex on the lead here. Gonna go for the Rock Slide on good timing, that's 7. The opponent may or may not shield this. These Typhlosion, typically they will, so I'm expecting to shield this, but I'm gonna stay in it for the long haul. And the opponent lets it go, and because they wouldn't have survived 2 more counters, they're gonna go for the move immediately, and that means I'm gonna switch into my Umbreon to absorb the damage. I would much rather deal with this much rather deal with this with my Steelix, or much rather deal with this with my Umbreon, right? Take the damage on the Umbreon rather than the Steelix, but yay! There's an Alolan Ninetales in the back with Charm. How exciting! How exciting! So I'm gonna go for the Foul Play for some chip damage. Deoxys is healthy enough that we can do some work here. I need to get this thing low. I need to get it low enough. Maybe Steelix can get a farm down because it is running Charm. So we're gonna go. They're gonna force a shield out of me here, which is really rough. Those charms are definitely adding up, as my Deoxys was very green when it came in. So I'm going to go for the Psycho Boost here on good timing. I'm hoping to just get rid of the Ninetales, and that hopefully they just come in with whatever they have in the back of the opponent's shields. I'm going to swap. I'm going to come in with my Steelix. Opponent has a Mantine, and we're going to go for the Crunch for the initial damage. Now, I could go for Psychic Fangs if I wanted to. It would allow me to do more damage in the fight overall, but thankfully we get the defense drop, which is nice. I assume this person is going to go for Water Pulse. What do? They Aerial Ace me. Seriously. You know, most people would no-shield that just for the simple fact that they know that they don't get to, they know that they can live 2 Water Pulses. So it's crazy to me that people would bait in that situation against a full HP Steelix, but it works out for them anyway. I'm going to be able to go for another Psychic Fangs. The opponent has energy. I don't know how much at this point. They've thrown some moves. It's only enough for the Aerial Ace. We're going to swap immediately. In comes the Typhlosion. We counter down. And now it's going to come down to what comes in. The opponent brings in their Mantine just after throwing the Ace. I know that I can live the wing attacks, but I was going to try to counter down, but I couldn't do it. Now we live 1 charm from the Alolan Ninetales. We are going to get the Psycho Boost off against Deoxys, and that is going to be a good game. Well played to this opponent. I talked to this trainer afterwards. That's why I didn't show the name, because I wanted to keep their team to themselves. But, that was an immensely well-played game on both sides, so I was very, very happy that they said I could feature it. And getting back up nearly 2,700 ELO with this team. Very strong team. Once again, thank you to the Discord member Polo here who suggested it to me. It worked out very well for the day that I played it, and I may go back to playing it again. We're going to be back on stream tonight, Wednesday, baby. Going to be on stream at 6 p.m. Eastern, going back to the stream schedule as it normally was, as I am, again, back from vacation, and we're all systems go here. So thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this team works out for you if you give it a try. And if you have any other success with the team, let me know in the comments. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.